Okay. All right, welcome. Let me enlarge this screen. Present. So this is one of the first series of healing our future. Specifically talk about post-quarantine Reiki, what to expect. This is not necessarily just for the Reiki healers and masters, but in general, people who gravitate toward this topic already healers themselves. So welcome. So this is a wake-up call and a wake-up time. That healer is a time too. Yeah, wake up. I just want to pause here and ask you guys, go ahead, unmute yourself. And how many of you feel that this is a kind of a time for you to do something, or is something shifting in you?
Yeah, I feel that definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I do also.
Okay.
Me too.
Yeah, most definitely. Me too.
Yeah, definitely.
That's wonderful. So how many of you already kind of take some type of action?
I feel, when something happens, I feel like I kind of feel regret at first that I didn't take steps to prepare for it. Then it's kind of like I have to react to it, like what's happening with the environment. So I joined the protest.
Mhm.
I joined the local nonprofits advocating for environmental awareness.
Mhm. So you took action though, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Anyone else?
I
But that's
learned,
kind of a big action. Go ahead.
sure, I learned I thought maybe I needed to go into other directions. So one thing led to another, and I learned Ho'oponopono, and then I was drawn towards
Ah,
Reiki. So I did level 1, and I'm, signed up for level 2. And in between, I came across the spiritual conference in Ottawa, which was online with, Joe Spinoza, Greg Braden, and all those, quantum people. So I attended that for 1 week. So that was something, I tried to do this last 4 months.
wow, that's a big journey for you. That's great to hear. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Well, I've been involved in letting go of the past so I can free myself up to be in the here and now and to just go higher. And I couldn't go higher with holding on to the past mistakes and the past regrets and feeling like a victim from the past. So I've been working on letting go of the past so that it will not stand in the way of me going higher during this time.
Very well said. That's wonderful.
And I've just been working on learning more about energy healing and becoming more spiritual. So I've started taking courses in Reiki earlier this year and started reading new books, all kinds of new books about spiritualism and different subjects. And so this is my second time taking the Reiki courses. I felt like I didn't learn enough the first time, so I wanted a new perspective and learn more about distant healing.
Yes.
So that's
How was it so far? Reiki is very simple. This is simple. A simple thing is very difficult to learn. So I just like to hear your experience taking again. Do you think it was a better things for you to take twice?
absolutely. I am learning so much more this time. The first time it was just maybe kind of went over the top, I didn't pick up as much as I would have liked to have. from it. And there was, I don't know, maybe I just wasn't prepared for it first time through as much. It was totally different. It was the hands-on in class type training, you know. And I actually like this better. I think I'm learning more through you than I was before. A lot of new stuff.
Yeah,
I've been involved on a big level too.
good. So it is wonderful, isn't it? The right teacher usually come in the right time. So each teacher has a strengths and benefit, and those are the one shows up in the front. So the Reiki, I would say, it's a lifelong learning, very much like Taoism, like a way. Also, you know, it is a very simple concept. The those are the one, the troublesome, right? Simple. It's like a God. It's so simple, but it's too simple to understand. So complicated, right? So it is, but it's a beauty in it. So I love Reiki, and then always love to hear the feedback. You learn so much more. And then thank you, Dave, chiming in via chat room and texting. You may not have an audio, so is it okay to? I would just assume it's okay because you wrote to everyone. I did a political thing and helped the Green and Liberal group around my town to do their good work. Yeah, that's wonderful. So there's so many ways, right, to improve not just yourself and people around you, because when you shift, everything else attached to you shift. Whatever doesn't shift will fall off. And that's how the energy works. So it is good that everybody has already woke up. Yes, and then more to come.
Yes, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
Uh-huh.
I felt like I was starting to fade away from, you know, age and being retired for over a decade. And now I feel like my brain is starting to work again.
Yay. Actually, a lot of the spiritual maturity come after everything is done. For men, after, those heavy work, you really need to take a huge amount of a break before anything else start, because you're just so crashed, and you need a really void space to recoup and before you do any work. So I think it's a great timing, and it's just started. And for a lot of women, a lot of true creativity come after the childbearing, or even beyond, after the period totally stop, because no longer you are giving away your creative power, and you are able to finally, first time, pour into yourself and others in a greater, in a more, in an effective and efficient way. So people think, oh my God, I'm so old. No, actually, you're still like a little young chicken in a sense. Think about it. Our original human, right? If you believe in astrology, okay, the one cycle is 120 years, roughly. And then a lot of time, we don't learn everything, first cycle. So you're allowed to go through a couple of times. So according to that calculation, the people should be, if you want to, stick around for 200 to 300 years. A lot of old texts like a Bible mention about, Moses and such, lived up to, hundreds of years. And you just kind of, okay, yeah, sure, it's an old story. But might be some, back then people lived that long. there's something, a lot of things happen in our biological body that the aging quickly, but that doesn't mean that we're going to follow that trend. You actually could reverse somewhat and be able to feel young again, right? Of course, there is some, sometimes we feel tired, but with the mind, the body, and soul and spiritual, oneness and alignment, you do actually feel, right? It's a very untraditional aging. So so welcome to spirituality. This is a kind of reversing time for you.
Yeah, it's quite a learning time. The last maybe 5 or 6 years.
Isn't it wonderful though?
It's awesome. It's fantastic.
It was I think what this was is a moment to actually become aware, kind of like have everything open up before you. It's kind of like you're in a shell. You're in a shell and you felt like you had been kept in a shell for a long time and you're just trying to break out and see what's going on out there.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's not exactly what you thought it was inside the shell. And you had to start learning, and then you had to start thinking differently, and then start acting differently.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way I can describe it. I've been that way. As a person on the spectrum, a lot of things have happened to me in the past. What was it? 6 years alone? 6 or 7 years alone. I'm going to be 35 at the end of this month, and I think this is just as good a time as any to keep moving on with things that either were being put off for a long time or just basically either that I put off or just couldn't happen because there were circumstances that were holding me back.
Well, in a sense, Jeffrey, it's quite amazing at your age, you already awaken, and not just awake, but be able yourself, acting toward. So I think you probably forget to celebrate yourself because sometimes it's difficult to see yourself, very objectively because it's you. And then as probably film director, you probably be able to develop the unique perspective. So
That's true.
right? You'll be able to broadcast your vision in a greater way.
Yeah. I guess maybe I was just, a lot of it has to do with maturity, yes, but I think it's also my own personal life experience,
Mm-hmm.
I honestly wouldn't know what else to say.
Sometimes we feel, Jeffrey, that the universe is guiding us, right? One thing leads to another and we end up together.
I do think there are elements beyond control which seem to be guiding us to somewhere. Some people call it fates. We would call it karma. I don't know what it is. I don't know exactly what I would call it. Maybe directions that are being paved. I just don't know what's going to be at the other end, but I'm working my way there.
Yeah. Oops, sorry. Yeah, let's keep talking that line. I like that interactiveness here. So I think this is a very good picture or photo describe what we are going through right now. Coding for Reiki healers and master. Are you sensing and feeling?
I can say I've definitely felt a lot of changes. I definitely felt I felt something.
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain it, but I felt something. I don't have a feeling it's not just intuition.
Right. So I don't know how many of you have been awakened, pre-2012 time. There's a lot of things, right? Or forecasted, or the big, end of the world, or beginning of the rebirth, beginning of the birth. 2012 passed, and then actually the real awakening period was beyond 2012. And then in a sense that our time being very condensed, so a lot of things happen far more quicker than we as a biological body be able to handle. So in terms of our body and mind, feeling like when you are standing in front of this like a big tsunami, right?
Yeah.
Well, can you see this, right? I mean, physical eye may not be seen in this way, but your mind, you say intuition, but your soul actually seeing and feeling and sensing this. And since our soul and then the mind is not necessarily perfect in alignment, we always have a certain amount of uncertainty and a gap. This is where those unknown anxiety, frustration, comes from. And then if you go into little intense, maybe somebody charged you for whatever the reason, depending on where you are and who are around, it become either, if it's electrically charged, it become anger. If it's magnetically charged, it become a deep depression. So we're gonna go through this very extreme cycle of anger and deep depression, or crying, or so happy, up and down, kind of somewhat, somebody else is controlling emotion or something. And our mind, not just mind, but our body will feel it. So once you unlock the mystery of where that exactly coming from, and it's I won't say just, but mainly coming from the gap, the unseen world, and unseen part of you, and this dimension of this physical you and conscious part of who you are, right? What you're made of. It basically is simply the gap between it. And this gap will become a little wider because of the current things. So going back to the roller coaster, some people enjoy it very much. They pay the money for it, right? And some people, just ignore that part exists. Or some of us are trying to learn how to kind of ride better, enjoy, and maybe able to help others, right? By understanding how and what we are facing and going through. So, how many of you consider yourself, healers, or having some form of healing practice?
I would like to think that in some way I'm healing, but I'm not really so much of a healer as I am a fighter,
Mm, I
Only
could
problem is sometimes it's like so much stuff has happened, and it kind of went against everything that we were going for to try and make our society better. And therefore, I feel like after, what you're doing your part to heal something, and then something screws up that pushes it the opposite direction, you feel like you have no other choice but to fight.
Oh, yeah, very well put.
Anyway, that's my own assessment of it. I'm sure not everybody feels the same way, but in any case, I'm a volunteer.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like I'm a healer, not only with Reiki, but with just being who I am, like being the empathetic person that I am, I feel like I'm always there for those in need. I mean, not everybody, but people that I know in need. And I'm always offering something that closes the gap in them. And even when I don't know that I'm doing it, they seem to feel so much better after I've shared with them or cried with them or hugged them. And so I feel all that is like part of healing the hurts, as well as when I administer Reiki and heal the pain.
Yeah, that's very the most perfect, Brunetta. The presence itself, right? You're fully present for them.
Right.
There's nothing better gift than that. Go ahead.
I was going to say, but and even when I feel like I'm helping or healing someone else, I'm ultimately also healing myself.
Wonderful. Well, you are a teacher. You could, that's why you know it. So, I totally agree. It doesn't need to be having a title or, having a shop or whatever. We are, in a sense, all healers. And then we have ability to heal each others. So, Renata, you just said a very important word. I think you used that word close to the empath. Able, right? Yeah. So that is one of the first things that collective consciousness will open up to. Moving up to the heart space. It is interesting that empathy is, organic, built in, innate ability for all human, but many, I can't say many, but some are not there yet, are not awakened that part. And more people will come to the point so that hopefully someday we don't need to use I'm an empath, Right now it's kind of like kind of rare things. Oh, you're an empath? Kind of coming out from closet or something. But it is something that we all should have, and hopefully in the near future. So what is an empath? Being an empath means you telepathically communicate and sense and lead and feel the emotion of others. Sometimes you feel as if you are them, right? So that is one of the beautiful ability for healers to have. Now, flip side of it, right? You're going to feel. You have to expand your capacity in a sense because you're going to be feeling a mass consciousness also. The water, also some extent, the moon represent the mass consciousness, which is usually the emotion, right? And it has a vibratory nature. So as you become more and more, identify yourself as a healers and work towards, you will go into hit a lot of those moments where all of a sudden you become, emotional, coming from somewhere else, and depending on where you're at that point, you might need to find a way to manage those emotions. So it is a wonderful ability, and also critical things to, the characteristic, or I won't say characteristic, critical tool to become a powerful healer. Okay. Anybody else? Oh, I'm sorry. I think I'm missing those chat. Okay, thank you, Dave. I turn inward to help myself after I can do no more to help others. In that way, I help the environment and others, altering my ways to be totally clean energy, solar, electric, EV, transportation, electric home, made totally net zero with the sun. Heal myself, heal others in that way, improve the earth in my own small way. Yeah, that's wonderful. I think it's you and Jeffrey, also Dave Miller. I kind of, people work on the Mother Earth, right? It's very important. So thank you for that. You could tell when you meet those people, though, right? They have a much bigger vision and have a mind in a right place. What happened is that as you become more and more align yourself with your spirit self, you understand we are the part of all. So we really can't just work on ourselves, right? By working ourselves, we are working everything else we touch and interact. And by working with earth, you heal people live upon, or all sentient kind live upon, or probably below. So this is a kind of law of one, the sacred law of one. We're kind of intricately connected. So yes, we definitely need to honor the Mother Earth. It's very much the reflection of how we treat all mothers, actually. It's said the Mother Earth. So look to I usually feel very sorry for those I see people tossing the can from the car or a cigarette. I just can't even imagine how that thing happens. But maybe this is how I was raised. I would think about it, and then the kind of love I got from my mother usually reflect upon the respect, right, and love they received. So it is kind of sad, isn't it, that people are kind of disrespectful to the environment, the Mother Earth. But anyway, it's always send of forgiveness and compassion. And the small thing, make big difference. So thank you for speaking up for Mother Earth here. Now we're gonna move on to the topic that how has COVID changed your Reiki practice? I guess it doesn't need to be Reiki, but your life, the way you deal with like daily work or the work you do. How many of you kind of rethink about your work?
I think, well, actually, that was an interesting point that somebody brought up in the chat room. We certainly are connected by our breath. But I think it also brings, well, for one thing, it reminds us that we are not completely independent of, of the surrounding environment. We like to I think we like to pride ourselves on the fact that we conquered a lot of diseases over the years, or at the very least come up with vaccines for viruses and everything. But judging from what has happened so far, and judging from the fact that this has happened from a practice that could have actually that should have actually ended a long time ago, it means we got that's just another part of waking up. You know, it's showing us that we got a lot to learn, and we got a lot of work to do to start really moving forward.
Mm.
On top of everything else, we found that a lot of our lifestyles are dependent on things that are not so adaptable to a crises like COVID. But there are other things. In our lifestyle, in our lives that are. I think we just took those for granted, and I think this crisis hopefully will remind others not to take things for granted again, and to start showing, more concern instead of being so cynical and apathetic.
Mm. Yeah.
For me, COVID introduced me to the energy healing, Reiki, and other healing modalities. So it was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, woke up in the right timing, yes?
Correct.
Haha.
But see, in your earlier question, Makika, when I practice a little bit of whatever I learned in Reiki and Ho'oponopono, it I could see the results very significant there, but it's temporary in nature. I haven't seen the healing uh, as a permanent thing. If there was some chronic pain, that would go away temporary, but in couple of days it would come back to my friend or my spouse or somebody. So that's something maybe I need to still, work on, get to a point where the healing can be permanent.
Mm. That is a great mission. You have a big things waiting for you. But it's always good to have those aspiration and goal. Yeah, so welcome and thank you for chiming in, voicing your opinion. Um, David, I see here too. I do agree. It is like a perfect storm, right? The breath and gathering. When people, like-minded people come together and share the energy, the greater things happens. And this is one of those times it's very important to come together. When you people saying coming together, now we can't come together in a traditional sense. We still can, but feel like we hit the wall. Find a different way or appreciate what we taken granted. Like just today, this morning, we used to do this every Wednesday morning. I used to go almost every day to the beach and watch sunrise, do whatever I do afterwards activity. And now it's become a whole protocol they kind of have to follow. So yeah, I do agree with your comment. Robert, and Brunetta, anything you like to comment here?
Well, I don't have a practice yet or anything. I'm still trying to kind of figure out which way I want to go. I started out early in my life being really interested in natural nutrition or healing. And, over the years, I've used to do all kinds of stuff. I used to grow wheatgrass and make wheatgrass juice, sprouts, and all this stuff, and give it to everybody I knew. And I never really had any kind of a practice at it. I thought about starting a business doing that. But as far as this COVID, it's really put the hampers on a lot of things. Like I don't go out as much and do some of the things I used to do. Like we had a meetup group that I was going to that pretty much shut down. It was really interesting because some of the people, they were Reiki practitioners. There were one guy, actually two people were mediums, and there was quite a few psychics there. And it was fun to go learn from them and talk to everybody because there was probably, I don't know how many people signed up, but there was usually about 10 people there,
That's
And
very good.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. And now it's like nobody's meeting. I think everybody's just worried about this virus, and so not getting out doing the things I used to do.
Right.
And I'm still trying to decide which direction I want to go. I would like to start something, but I'm not there yet. So I'm going to keep working on it, taking different modalities and practicing with the Reiki too, and to see where it takes me. I know it'll come in the right time.
You would love Reiki too, because we're gonna a lot to do with a distant. You're gonna learn how to send healing energy beyond space and time.
Yeah.
So it is something that I would teach you the mechanic behind, and you will love it.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that because I actually have learned another modality to do that, but I want to learn the Reiki. It's more interesting to me. So, and there's a lot of other things you can learn to go with that. So like the crystals, and there's a lot of things that I need to learn more about. And I started buying all kinds of crystals, and I've always been interested in geology, but I'm not really trained in them yet. So I can't wait for your course to come back up.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love Reiki, Crystal Reiki level 1, because we go through the geology and the actual crystal structure and how you actually could read what kind of characteristic it has from the geometric form. So if you're like if you like that, you're gonna love it. Most people don't like those things. So.
Oh, I love it. I would absolutely be out. I'd probably go out gold mining if I could.
Oh, I thought about it. I went mining too, not the gold, but yeah, Herkimer diamond, right? Herkimer quartz, that was fun. But anyway, I could go so off, tangent. Let's keep it close here.
Okay.
For this group, and let me see. Yeah. So for the first series, I really just wanted to emphasize, right? It doesn't really matter what you do right this moment, because we are all healers and empaths. Otherwise, we won't be able to connect here now. It is a time to expand. It's expansion time. Both your energy field and your heart space. I will emphasize the heart, because of the heart is where we communicate telepathically. That's how you sense and feel others' emotion, and the mass consciousness where we are at. Okay, somebody is interesting. That's both like a E8 crystalline lattice. Okay, we could really go on with this crystal lattice and all other things. So going back though, in a crystal that we talk about, a lot of spiritual people love crystals, and there's a reason. And the crystal is many things, but the one is being an excellent conduit. And it is actually conscious being. It is not just a rock. It's not just a matter. And you're going to understand a little bit more as you go deeper into what is matter, what is crystals, right? And connecting through the land or crystal, the crystalline bed, you'll be able to travel so far in terms of your energetic transmission. That's why a lot of spiritual people or a lot of channeling people always have a crystal near them and know how to and where to place and such. So it is all related actually. You're going to become more sensitive to crystal energy once you become more attuned to the Reiki. So looking ahead, are you ready to shift, reaching beyond matter and a physical body? This is where I really like to emphasize, right? Now we kind of in this quarantine, It is a perfect time to develop your higher sensory processing, right? The ability to reach beyond the matter. This is something you really need to challenge your belief system if this is something you're not quite, believing in or comprehending. Because we are coming from a spiritual being manifesting in a matter world. So we do have a body, we do have identity beyond this physical body. And a lot of time issue come from there, seldom coming from the physical realm, unless it's an accident or something. Someone mentioned the chronic illnesses. Those are almost always coming from non-physical place. So it is a far better to heal at the level of non-physical state. Once you become physical manifestation, it's a lot more work needed to be done to change the physical state, correct? So this is why the quantum healing is becoming, popular. And you have everything you need to shift and go beyond in the next level. I like this of what I found. It is almost looks like a person is hugging or hugging somebody or extending. Our energy body is kind of like this, a little bit like this, like auric field and such. And the more you be able to feel in a sense and buy into this idea, the more you develop your higher sensory power. So I like to finish this with this quote I love. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. So you feel that, to empower yourself and empower your body and mind. Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
all have a great evening, okay?
Have a
Thank
great
you,
weekend.
Makiko.
Too.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
See you next time. Goodbye. Good night.
Good night. Thank you again.
Goodbye and thank you.
Thank you.